Hello there, nature viewers. Welcome back to once again another amazing episode of Brady's National Geographic. You can tell by the way I was standing right there and that beautiful music playing in the background. We're definitely in for one terrific or magnificent ride on this episode or channel. If you do that one more time, I'm gonna smack you upside the head. I definitely like to see you try. Now, it's apparently come to my attention recently that June 30th, or even yesterday, is clarified as International Asteroid Day. I don't know how nobody ever informed me about this, but oh well. I mean, we don't actually have to be recording it on this day. I mean, I kind of would want to talk about, asteroids every now and then. I mean, hey, if it gives you another excuse to go back into space or, record another documentary, technically, on asteroids, then that'd be fine with me. I mean, hey, whatever gives me more ideas, like I'm saying, I always gotta keep stretching these things out, because that's just how I do it though. But I mean, obviously you kind of know the reason why. I mean, I do it because I like to entertain you guys for the most part, but this should be pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of things that asteroids have in common. They kind of are the reason on why we kind of evolved more as a species. Like, we ourselves, we're the reason, because of the asteroids, they took out the dinosaurs, the whole story about that. But I mean, we basically had to lead on Earth by ourselves. I mean, sure, there were other animals around, but I mean, it gave the chance for us to finally, get out there and actually do something. So this is really going to be something interesting to overcover. Now, let's start off with the most obvious question. What is International Asteroid Day, and why do we make that a thing? I mean, there's multiple holidays out there that I didn't even know existed and probably don't want to exist. I mean, they kind of, mess with my brain a little bit, make me go numb and start to wonder, am I really living on this planet right now? But yeah, this isn't the craziest one. There's other ones out there, like National Candy Cane Day, which is a day after Christmas, National Lovers Day, or Couples, which, still trying to find out one. I mean, I'll get there eventually, but for now I'm just gonna be stuck, depressed in the corner. And even National Pillow Fight Day. Yeah, they're all real. You could even search that one up too. Like, they're all real. You could even look up more. I mean, I bet there's so many much more out there, but I'm not even gonna bother naming more because I want my brain to still feel good while I can even have one. And in case you want to be more specific on National Pillow Fight Day, it's the first Saturday of April. So even though that these things feel weird, even 7 months into this year, I basically missed out on a lot. International Asteroid Day was established in 2016, and while I want to say that was very recent, I mean, it's basically been 10 years, so I still do feel quite old inside. But hey, I can at least say that it's been quite a while since, we've been celebrating this. Which it's really good though, because it expresses the origins of how the solar system was all made. I mean, if you really think about it, all the planets and even moons, all of that stuff was made out of rock entirely. So it kind of basically is responsible for making up about probably, I want to say 90% of the solar system. I mean, the sun, of course, does its thing and everything. But yeah, it's mainly just for the global awareness movement on the highlights of the hazardous of near-Earth objects and the importance of planetary defense initiatives. The day specifically, commemorates with the anniversary of the 1908 Tunguska impact event in Siberia, Russia, which is the largest recorded asteroid-related atmospheric entry in modern history. So yeah, that definitely is something though, but it's mainly just to, educate the public and all that stuff, and discussing technology and global cooperation used to predict and mitigate potential impact risk. Now it's time to actually get to the important part about what are asteroids and what they technically do. I mean, like I said before, they are rocky. I mean, if they weren't, then, well, literally these planets couldn't exist, and they are responsible for the early formation of the solar system 4.6 billion years ago. And they range from size from small boulders to dwarf planets. Most orbit the sun in the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. So the locations and types basically differ between these kinds, but there's the main asteroid belt, of course, which is the region that contains millions of asteroids that represent the building blocks of our solar system, and they never quite coalescend into full planets, technically. But then there's the compositional classes. Now these are the asteroids that are broadly categorized based on what type they are made of. Primarily like a C-type mainly, or I guess you could just say a carbonaceous, dark and rich in water and organic materials. Then there's also the S-type, which is silicaceous and stony, and M-type, which is metallic. Now, not all asteroids stay in the same main belt, which is where the Trojans and near-Earth objects are the ones that come into play. And that's mainly from the fact that they share orbital paths with larger planets like Jupiter, Saturn, or I guess you could also say Uranus and Neptune, because, they're ice giants and gas giants out there. So it makes sense why. But as for the other ones, near-Earth objects specifically are the rocks whose orbits bring them into Earth's neighborhood. And because of this, it brings planetary defense and threats. Tracking hazards like NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies are the ones that use systems like Sentry and Scout to continuously monitor the sky for potentially hazardous asteroids. The good news about this is that there are currently no known significant threats, which is, obviously, this obviously has to be good, because if not, then we're basically all cooked. There are, of course, deflection technologies, which is basically just space agencies that actively test methods around to alter the trajectory of hazardous rocks, just to make sure that we stay safe from those around. I mean, okay, technically, there isn't meant to be a threat for another 100 years, but, I mean, like, we shouldn't really worry about that for the moment. We should just worry about the fact that we're doing the best that we can right now, and, we don't want to mess anything up, or we don't want to, start anything bad around. So, for right now, we're doing a great job, because of course NASA proved its capability during the DART mission, which successfully altered the orbit of the asteroid Dimorphos in 2022. And that's very recent though, so imagine what would have happened if we couldn't make that possible, but we did. Let's just hope that, those people that use ChatGPT don't make it to NASA, okay? We also have scientific values, of course, for asteroids, since they're are richly famous, but I'll get to that in a minute. There's cosmic building blocks, which remain relatively unchanged since the dawn of the solar system, but scientists keep studying these because they want to see how much, they can understand the primordial materials that have been used to create Earth and all the other planets around. Then there's the sparking life, which is a recent computer models that have suggested repeated ancient asteroid impacts, and they've created underground hydrothermal systems that provide a life-friendly environmental required for early life to live on Earth. If only that could have happened on Mars, but if so, I would have already told you already. And then lastly, there is space mining, which is how asteroids are insanely rich. I don't know how much they are, but if so, I'll put it on like I always do. I overlay this stuff. But they're rich in metals, rare earth elements, and water. And space agencies, private companies also view them as being potential resource hubs for future deep space exploration. So yeah, it is safe to say that these things really do go for a hard price. If I ever did get my hands on one of those, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I would be holding something that also killed an entire population. Like I said earlier, NASA was also responsible for making the DART mission, which is a double asteroid redirection test. It's basically where they, slam two asteroids together. Now, the follow-up behind this, of course, was the European Space Agency, or the ESA for short, Hera mission, which was subsequently launched to study the impact crater and precise mass of Dimorphos to refine the kinetic impact models. So yeah, this thing really did go a lot far. But hey, what's even more farther is the fact that, even despite being tiny asteroids of rock out there, I mean, since they make up the moon, why not also have their own moons? Yes, that's right. There's approximately at least 150 asteroids out there in space that have at least one or two smaller moons orbiting them. So I know I mentioned that earlier, but I just wanted to make it clear in case if you think that that's not possible. But hey, in space, it's almost like anything can be possible. I mean, life on planets can't be possible, but I mean, things like that really is something to think about. I could even show a picture of these right now, or I think I already have. I don't really know. I'm basically just running out of things to say. Okay, but the last thing I'll say about asteroids for today is they are gold mines, of course. I mean, there's a reason why, a lot of people that study them are trying to see if we could ever try to get our hands on them. But how rich are they? I mean, well, one of the most metal-rich asteroids ever, Psyche, is thought to contain enough iron and nickel to approximately be about quadrillions of dollars. Yeah, quadrillion dollars. You may have heard of a millionaire, a billionaire, but have you ever heard of a quadrillionaire or a trillionaire? Well, that probably exists, but quadrillions of dollars. So yeah, that really is a lot. I mean, it's gotten to the point where NASA, of course, has already invented the Psyche mission. They launched it in 2023, but as of now, they haven't really fully covered it yet. They're still working on that, probably like as we speak. It's not actually meant to fully be finished until about August 2029. So we still have 3 more years until we finally figure out if maybe we could probably get our hands on that. Yeah, I don't know. But hey, I mean, it really is good though. The most thing that you gotta know about International Asteroid Day is not just that, it's just a random made-up holiday, but it's actually something that we should celebrate just to know more origins about where we actually all came from, and how just like, one wipe of population actually led to a whole full new population, or another one to rise. Jeez, the sun is getting in my eyes. But it is something that we should all look at for the end of the day. So while most of you guys might see it as something you never may have heard of, hey, at least you know that asteroids do make up planets, and they make up a lot of other things in the solar system, but most importantly, they kind of do make up life. And that's it. Well, thank you guys for enjoying today's episode of Brady's National Geographic. If I do say so myself, it was a splendid, spectacular day. Ow! Okay, I'm sorry. I will say that I had a lot of fun making this episode. I mean, I kind of always say this because, I want to make this entertaining. But, for a day like this where I don't really know about these things, or like I didn't actually know that, these things actually can exist, hey, I mean, I don't have a problem with making, like, another space documentary technically. But this is really good though, because it gives me something more to learn about, it gives you something more to learn about, and we all feel amazed around. So I hope you enjoyed it for that. But anyways, make sure to subscribe to National Geographic Official, our channel, so we can make it grow more. Follow our TikTok and the cameraman's Instagram for whatever reason. With that said, I suck at endings, and I'm sorry, I gotta throw this out here one last time. But today is July 2nd, 2026, as I'm recording this right now. So it technically is I Forgot Day. Yeah, that actually is a thing. Like, you can search it up right now. I'm not even joking. So I guess maybe you could say I did plan this out because I wanted to film this on July 1st or June 30th, but I never did. So, whatever. I don't really know. Why do I do this? Also, one last tip, because recently I've been giving a lot, but like I said, this was Independence Week because they're going to be blasting fireworks all the way until July 4th. And recently, I don't know, I mean, some of these are starting to sound like actual gunshots. If I start hearing screaming, I'm going to have to move out, okay? So please, stay safe around there and, you know, watch your surroundings at all time. Always watch your surroundings, alright? Thank you. And I'll see you on July 4th, because I actually have some fireworks of my own. But they're not going to be as loud or chaotic or as brutal as the other ones that I've heard. So I'll talk to you soon about that. Bye!